You're always real, brother. It's all good.
Oh, thank you for that. All right, here we go. And of course, now it's doing the thing where it doesn't play. Oh my gosh. I can tell it's a very special Sacred Sunday morning. That's for sure. All right, well, we're going to try this again. Hey, everybody. Happy Sacred Sunday to you. We've got some wonderful friends in the Zoom room, and we are going to hopefully get our little Sacred Sunday show going here. So let's try again and see if that trailer wants to play. Come on, you can do it.
What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Sacred Sunday to you. This is a special edition. And about once a month, we're trying to do a Sunday show, and it's going to be a hybrid experience. We've got some of our dearest friends in the Zoom room, and beloved Omashar coming to us live from his home in Colorado. I am at the Enlightenment Expo here in Southern California. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to ask beloved Omashar to do a song or two because I've got to go downstairs and get us going downstairs where I'm going to be doing a hybrid experience. There'll be a live audience, and Tangela and I are going to be sharing tips, tools, and practices for the holiday season. And then following that, Charlie Lamson is going to be doing a presentation on Sacred Fire Alchemy. Beloved Omashar, I'm going to bring you online and figure a couple things out with you. Welcome, my friend.
Hi there. Oops. Hi there, beautiful man. Happy Sacred Sunday to you.
Happy Sacred Sunday. So, yeah, here's what needs to do. I need to go downstairs. Okay. So if I can turn things over to you for like the next 10 or 12 minutes.
All right.
Would that be workable?
Well, it's what it is, brother. So run.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you in a little bit.
Yes. And so it's beautiful to be with everybody. And thanks for tuning in on Facebook and YouTube and our streaming partners and all of the thousands in the Zoom room here with us. That's great. A worldwide broadcast. And let's do a little Christmas version of a very earthy song. This isn't a Christmas song. I'm a little loath to sing Christmas songs when it's really only the first week of December. But I'll throw the word in Christmas into this song just to make it sound special.
And Omashar, I made you host. I don't have any power left, so can you remove me?
Duracell. Oh, I need to remove you?
You need to, well, just remove me from spotlight, so the spotlight's on you.
Oh, wow.
Because we want the full focus on you, partner.
I know, man.
And I have no power now. I gave you all the power.
Dude, we all we all have spotlight. Remove spotlight. Hang on. Add spotlight.
Well, now this one is only on me, I think. That's again.
And I can get rid of you. Ah.
There we go.
Whoa. That was my smoking gun. There's an amazing, beautiful thing on YouTube at the moment, and it's Dick Van Dyke at 99 years young. Holy smoke. Dancing around with Chris Martin from Coldplay. So go on to YouTube sometime today and look it up. It's just a beautiful Christmas feel from a beautiful man who's given so much over his lifetime. And anyway, I go there. I would love for you to see that.
That is a great recommendation.
It tickled my fancy totally.
Christmas time, we're gathered together holding hands, our sisters and brothers, open hearts and open minds, raising our voices, singing these praises. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Hey yana ho yana, hey yana, hey yana ho yana, hey yana ho yana, hey yana, hey yana ho yana, hey. It's Christmas time. We're loving our mother. We are willing to love each other. Open hearts and open minds. We raise our voices and sing these praises. Sing these praises. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Hey yana ho yana, hey yana, hey yana ho yana, hey yana ho yana, hey yana, hey yana ho yana, hey. It's Christmas time and we're gathered together holding hands, my sisters and brothers, open hearts and open minds, raising our voices and singing these praises, and singing these praises. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire and open minds, we raise our voices to sing these praises, to sing these praises. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Yes. Well, yes, indeed. It could be a Christmas song. That's an everyday Christmas song, isn't it? I think. And I love those I know. I love these sorts of carols too, Susan. Very much so. And where are we going to go now? We could do that, or we could do that. Let's do that, shall we? Stillness, just a breath The quieter you become, the more you can hear in the silence, in the stillness. I am here. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fears. Know that I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Now your heart and mind is clear, and you know that love is with you, love supports you, love is here. And you feel that you belong, and you're walking with purpose. You can hear your life's new song. Know that I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Ba 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 dum bum bum ba. Ba da da dum ba. Da da dum ba. Da da dum 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 dum. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fears. That I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through.
Yes, indeed, I do. And here we are. And well, we have a Scott to find. He was running down. There he is. Scott's with us. Hey, Scott. Are you ready, or should we do something else, young man? He's remaining mute. So how about... All right. You look nice and warm, Terry. That's great.
You could play another song.
I could play another song. We could do that, or we could do a meditation. I guess it's what do you think? Another song?
Either.
Either or either. All right. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. Let's do that then. Oh, yeah. Just a breath away. All right. Just a breath away. Yeah. Okay.
One, two, for you, Cherry. When you feel like giving up, when you feel like letting go, living in this ever-changing world, when it seems that all is lost and you don't know where to turn, the future seems so very far away. So just know there really is a plan. The sun will always shine, and with your hand in mine, our heaviness fades away. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. Ba-la-dum-bum-bum. Da-la-dum-dum-dum. So when it seems that you're alone and the fears knock at your door, remember I am just a breath away. You are my brightest star, you've just forgotten who you are. Remember there is nothing in the way, and just know there really is a plan. The sun will always shine, and with your hand in mine, all heaviness fades away. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. And I see that Scott is here, and he's standing right there with Tangela, getting ready for their presentation. It doesn't really go very well, but just know there really was a plan, but Sunday took its toll and led us down this road, and heaviness fades away. So we'll make it up on the fly any day. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day. The love in our hearts will melt the darkest day.
So we're doing a hybrid show. We have an online audience and we have our in-person audience. So that's why we have the computer right here.
Right. Yeah, so welcome to our live audience and welcome to our global peace drivers, and a big thank you to Omashar, who's our musical artist who's been playing music. We're on a live show. It's our Sacred Sunday show. Happy Soul Search Sacred Sunday to each and everybody. And a big thank you to Omashar for covering and making magic happen as only he can. And a reminder to support Omashar by going to omashar.bandcamp.com. I am not able to bring up that program right now, but will you be able to do a song for us as we transition around 11:55?
Yes, I'm sorry to hear that you're going to transition, but hey, there it is.
Yeah, as I transition.
It is Christmas, yes, and I'm looking forward to this presentation. I'll be
But I
here.
will return as Shirley Lampson at 12 noon.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Omashar.
Okay.
All right.
So we're I'm just letting Manuel know we're live streaming both. Yeah.
So
Okay, perfect.
we're
So
going
I
to
can
talk
introduce.
about this holiday season.
So let me introduce you.
Oh,
Okay. So welcome everyone to our Soul Search Enlightenment Expo here in Santa Ana. We're delighted to have you here. I'm Tangela. I'm the founder of Soul Search. And this is Scott Katamas. He is an Emmy award-winning television producer, as well as a love coach. And also he is prolific in this spiritual industry. He actually hosts an ongoing online show every Wednesday and Saturday called The Awakening World, which you guys can all tune into every week if you'd like, where he interviews. And actually, I co-host with him once a month. We just did a show yesterday, last night. And we have an amazing online global community that tunes in on Zoom. You can also catch the show on Facebook and on YouTube. And we get to meet and talk with a lot of amazing practitioners, many of whom you will see inside there.
Yeah.
So Scott is an incredible love coach, communications coach, NLP master, and TV producer, and also life coach as well. So I'm excited to have you here with me, and we're excited to present about.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's quite an introduction. But that's my best part. That's my dog. Jasmine Bear just went out to the audience. She right on cue, right? Right on cue.
Thank you. And hi to the Global Peace Tribe. Thanks for tuning in with us online and joining us here in Santa Ana. You guys all know Scott, but I wanted to make sure that everyone here in our audience got a chance to meet him.
Well, since you introduced me, I'm going to introduce Tangela.
Oh.
This is the most focused woman I know. This woman, it's amazing how much she does. She's doing an expo every weekend. She's doing her Soul Search TV programs. She's bringing in amazing healers and finding people all over the world and connecting us. And she got married in the midst of all of this. She got married
My
recently.
husband's in there, Charlie Lamson, Sacred Fire Alchemist. So you guys can see him in there too.
And Charlie actually will be coming up right after us.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, he'll be on at 12 noon and he's amazing. So anyway, she's a remarkable person. And,
thanks.
and this is an incredible time in human history and on the planet, right? And it's in some ways, it's kind of scary. Yeah, there's some pretty scary things going on. But there's also most of the great spiritual teachers that she and I are blessed to know are all saying the same thing. This really is think about what a caterpillar's death is like, right? When a caterpillar's dying, it's dying and its world is ending and it's collapsing and it's turning into this goo. And it's a pretty scary time for that little being. But in that goo, all the imaginal cells find each other, coalesce, and become the butterfly, which then flies. Well, Tangela, is helping to bring all the imaginal cells, like you and you and you, and together. And so am I through Global Peace Tribe shows. And we're all coming together, and there are millions of us all around the world that are dedicated to raising consciousness and creating a new paradigm of peace and of love and of harmony. And so it's a scary time as the old paradigm dies, but that has to happen for the new world, the new paradigm to emerge. And that's very much, I think, how we see it, right?
Definitely, definitely. It's call it the Great Awakening, time of big transition, the age of Aquarius upon us. And so there's a lot of excitement because every soul here on this planet, we chose to be here during this time. We incarnated here specifically for this big shift. And we are here to see through this new earth that we know is possible. And we might look around us and say, wow, what is going on? There's war, there's environmental degradation, there's poverty, there's, all types of things happening. And the news and the media also wants us to have a lot of focus on, what is going wrong on the planet. But we're here to usher in this new age where we're creating together. It's a co-creation of all of us as a collective consciousness of what we know is possible. And that's why it's amazing and so important when all of us get together like this. Because each one of us, as we heard last night, is this brilliant, bright light. We are this divine being. And when we are remembering that, we're able to shine our light even brighter. And then we're lighting up every person walking around us on the street, every person walking by us, every person we come in contact with. That remembrance begins to occur. Whether or not they know it consciously, our souls know why we came here. And during this awakening, that's what we're all here doing together, awakening one another to the true reality of who we really are as creator conscious beings.
Some of the comments coming in from our Zoom room audience, Carol Craig writes, "We are the ones we've been waiting for." Who can relate to that, right? And Reverend, the Mystic Monastery is run by our friend Jerry Anderson, who's online with us right now. He's got a 10,000 acre place in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And he writes, "We have been raised up for a time like this." Exactly. And Grace Denise writes, "Yes, we are the imaginal cells and coming together with love, compassion, clarity, purpose, and vision. We can make the difference. We can stand up for freedom and for opportunity." And that's why it's important for us to come together in community, because it can be scary out there. And it can also be lonely. Who sometimes feels lonely? Yeah. Oftentimes, especially when we go down a spiritual path that's different from our family and what we were raised with, we can be seen as the black sheep. You've got an amazing story like that, Miss Tangela Islam, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring in the holidays and the holiday time, because obviously holidays are, a time for celebration. This is the holy time, whether you're, celebrating Christ and Christ consciousness or another religious holiday, but it's a time where in the consciousness, people are connecting with the divine and connecting with one another. However, that's different from each one of us. And the way that we grew up, the way we were raised, the families we're from, may celebrate the holidays differently than how we celebrate. They may view them differently. And so it's important that when we can come together like this, knowing and understanding that whatever boxes we were told that we had to fit into from when they were born, it might be your family box or your religion box or your people, your classmates, whoever they are, we're here now breaking through all of these old paradigms and matrices. And so when we come together like this, especially during the holiday time too, we're able to connect with each other, remembering what's important about the holy days for each one of us as individuals. And that might be different from how our family is celebrated or how they believe. And that's okay. But when we come together, we can start letting go of that guilt or that shame or that embarrassment that we might carry without even realizing it sometimes. We're like, oh, I'm over that. I know that I don't celebrate the holidays like they do, but it's okay. It doesn't bother me. But actually inside, we still might carry some embarrassment, some guilt, some shame. And without even realizing it, it's lowering our frequency. It's lowering our vibration. And that's okay. That's the human process. But when we come together and we realize, I still have some of those feelings. And I can just feel that. And I can feel like, wow, I feel some shame because I just, don't feel like being with my family for the holidays, or I don't celebrate with them like they want me to. And I can just sit with that and then let it go and say, that's okay. I'm with this family for the holidays. And that this is our soul family. And we have that connection. That doesn't mean we're putting aside who and what we grew up with at all, but we no longer have to carry the guilt or the obligation or the shame that might bind us. And that's a huge liberation that each one of us can bring forth for holiday time. Because when we liberate ourselves, we liberate everyone around us.
Beautifully stated. One of the things about guilt, who out there experiences guilt? Anybody? Yep. Okay. So I have a wonderful tool for you. Oh, we get some guilters. So for those of you who experience guilt, congratulations, you're not a sociopath. For those of you who don't experience guilt, well, we're not so sure then. Oh, well, now that being said, here's the thing that's interesting about guilt. We do experience guilt because we care, right? We're not sociopaths, we care. But guilt causes the freeze reaction in our reptile brain. And so when we're experiencing guilt, and especially if we're racked by guilt, we actually go into paralysis. And good, caring people all of a sudden aren't able to function because the guilt creates paralysis. So here's the thing to remember. When guilt comes, don't stay there, but drop into the beauty of we'll bring the dog back. Jazzy, come on. Jasmine Bear almost knocked over the computer. All right, sweetie, you're gonna have to come on over here. Come on. Here we go. Up we go.
She doesn't feel
She
guilty
doesn't
at
feel
all.
guilty at all.
That's the beauty, right? That's the beauty and the innocence of our pets and why we love them, because they don't give us guilt trips and then they don't feel guilty either, right?
Guilt is something that we learned. We picked it up. An infant doesn't feel guilty. It's crapping all over itself. It does not feel guilty, right? But if you do experience guilt, then drop into the beauty of the care that's there. You feel guilty because you don't call your mother enough? Drop into the beauty of your care for your mother. You feel guilty about the way you spoke to someone? Drop into your care for that person. Because guilt does cause paralysis and it stops us from moving forward. So just find the beauty of your care that's underneath. So there's a little tip for you. And we're going to give you some tips, tools, and practices,
Mhm.
because that's what today's all about.
Exactly. And Scott, I'm glad you brought up that paralysis because that definitely happens to me where I'm like, oh, I didn't call that person. And oh, and then I just feel so bad. I can't move forward.
Mhm.
How do we move forward? How do we get out of that?
Well, you drop into how much you care about that person. You drop into the beauty of your care.
Mm,
I feel bad because I care about that person,
mhm,
and that's why I feel bad.
mhm.
And then you don't stay in the story of I messed up and didn't call them, but you drop into how much you care about them. And then hopefully remember the gratitude,
Yeah.
the gratitude that this is an important person in your life. This is someone you care about, right? Which is a beautiful thing. And that gets us literally what happens when you do that is you switch from being in the back part of your brain, the reptile brain, where you're in freeze, and you come back into the frontal lobe, because it's in the frontal lobe where the compassion center is. You know, there's a beautiful story about the Dalai Lama, and my audience has heard this before. The Dalai Lama allowed brain researchers to hook up electrodes to his brain and track how his brain functions and to track the synapses, where the synapses were firing. And they ran tests with him for an hour and a half. And at all times, his synapses were firing up here in the frontal and temporal lobes. Now, a biologist will tell you that the human species is moving from reptile brain survival into frontal lobe thriving. That's part of our movement of the human species. So they're running the tests with the Dalai Lama. And at the very end, they showed him photographs of Chinese soldiers burning down a Tibetan temple.
Mm.
And as he looks at these photographs, he wept. He didn't stuff his feelings. He was weeping, he was crying, but his synapses were still firing up here. And they ask him, well, how do you really feel when you think about the atrocities taking place in your country of Tibet? And he got quiet. Synapses continue to fire up here. And he said, it reminds me that I must pray equally for the Chinese as I do for my Tibetan people. Now, this is a very beautiful example of where the human species is going. You know, the truth is we are going to experience things that hurt, even from people we love. Family members or friends are going to say or do things that are hurtful. And the key is not to go into reptile brain reaction of fight or flight or freeze, but instead, is she okay?
Yeah, she's
okay.
okay.
But instead, to drop into compassion for ourselves and compassion for the other, and really seek to understand, why did this person just say that to me? Why did this person just do that? And that's where we're going. And that's when, you know, talk about the holidays, you know, the holiday spirit is peace and love. Well, peace and love in practical level is compassion. When we can have compassion for ourselves and compassion for others, even when they're not doing what we want them to do, even when they're not behaving the way we want them to behave, but try and understand, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? She's
And-
getting squirmy.
And I love how you brought up peace and love, because those are the big themes of, you know, this holiday season. And when we think about peace, global peace, world peace, all of that peace begins within us. And that is our most powerful point that we can be coming from, is that peace within. And when we can focus on our own internal peace, that's what then creates the external peace, reverberates the peace that we want to see in the world. So when we meditate or take that breath and come back to our personal peace, that's the most revolutionary act we can do. Because what we're doing is we're saying to the world around us, you're all there. I am in my peace. So it's a very powerful practice that we can each start with, you know, to bring in peace into ourselves, into our hearts, because that's what brings peace out into the world. And like we said, we have so many external distractions, whether it's the news or whether what's happening out, with our friends or our families. And for the holiday season, especially because there's, a lot of different things coming up, people getting together, a lot of activity and hustle bustle, seeing people you haven't seen in a long time. One of the most important practices that we can do for our own peace is just to pause.
Mm-hmm.
Just to pause before we react, before we respond, and take that 30 seconds to just pause and come back to our own inner peace. And then we make the choice of how to respond, whether we want to say, what a beautiful shirt you're wearing, right? As AJ and Tom, whether we want to change the subject, whether we don't want to talk about politics. We can choose. We don't have to react. We can always choose where we want the conversation to go. If someone is bringing something up that we necessarily don't want to go down that road with that person, because we're not here to have that discussion or conversation, we can pause, come back to our peace. We can ask ourselves, what would love do?
Mm.
And then love might just say, hey, what is the latest TV show you're watching? Or, I love the color of the trees outside. It's, love can allow us to change the subject, talk about something different, bring up a topic that we know that person would love to hear about. Not go into the place of chaos or of angst or anger, even if it means not listening to someone's story again. That's okay. That's okay, because sometimes we feel, oh, these are our friends, these are our loved ones. We have to hear this story again. We have to sit, and we don't. And you know what? When we don't, we are being in love and we're being in compassion, because we're also no longer seeing the person in front of us as the victim. Yes, you can have compassion that they went through a specific experience, but you can see the person fully healed, whole, joyful, abundant. It doesn't mean that, of course, realities around us, but we can see the person for who they are and reflect that reality back to them.
So Tangela, we see you for who you are, and that's a beautiful necklace. And there's a question
Sure.
going a little bit about dropping into the beauty of guilt. Perhaps you could address that. See the question about 3 or 4 back, dropping into the beauty of guilt.
Dropping into the beauty of guilt. Can you speak more into that? How does it look? And also, when paralyzed by guilt, how can we move out of that with frequency and grace?
Wow. Well, we talked a little bit about it by dropping into the beauty of the care that you have. You're feeling guilty because you care about someone. You did or didn't do something that had, in your imagining, an impact on somebody that you care about. We drop into the beauty of the care. And we have self-compassion. My mentor was a man named Marshall Rosenberg. He founded Nonviolent Communication, which is a very popular worldwide thing. And I had the good pleasure to travel with him. We became friends. We taught together. And he always said, and this is the man who really helped us understand the practical use of compassionate communication. And he said the most important form of empathy is self-empathy. We've got to be willing to give ourselves compassion. So even when we have made a choice that's had an impact on someone else, drop into the beauty of our care for that person, but also recognize we made that choice for some reason at the time. In that moment, that was the best choice we thought we could make, right? Or we were taking care of ourselves. You just talked about not listening to a story multiple times. And that kind of leads to something that's kind of similar to the question here too, learning to set boundaries with compassion. right? And it's interesting because some people are really good at setting boundaries, but they are not very compassionate in the process, right? And then other people are people pleasers, and they'll listen to that story 5 times, even though, it's driving them crazy or they're running late or whatever. So learning to set a boundary with compassion. And here is a tool for you.
Yes.
I call it the boundary sandwich. You start with acknowledging whatever authentic care you have for that person. Whatever is true for you, you care about them. And you establish that. I do care about you. I like you. You're important to me. Whatever's real, it's got to be authentic. And then you set your boundary. Thanks for inviting me to your class. I really appreciate it, but I can't make it. I already have plans. You let them know what the boundary is. Thank you for asking me out on a date. I can imagine why you would want to, because I'm so awesome. And then the other side of the boundary is acknowledging and being present to whatever disappointment they might have. Because when we say no or we set a boundary, most of the time there's going to be disappointment. And there may be sometimes people then interpret it as you don't care about me. What did we do at the beginning? What was the first part? We established that we care about that person. And then after we set the boundary, we show care by acknowledging their disappointment or whatever might be alive for them, present for them when we set the boundary. Now, we don't change the boundary, even though they're angry or hurt or disappointed, but we give them the gift of acknowledging, I get how disappointed you are. You really wanted to go out on a date with me and the dog, or whatever it is. I'm being a little silly about that. But the point is, establish that you care, set the boundary, and then be present to whatever the reaction is without making them wrong for having that reaction, right? It's okay to set a boundary. It's okay that someone's disappointed. And just making that okay creates a field of care. And it's that field of care that, again, is underneath the guilt.
Exactly. And especially because, a lot of times we're afraid to say no. Sorry, I cannot come to the family dinner, or sorry, I cannot come to your home for this holiday. And we just feel terrible because we're like, oh, they love us. They want us to be there. How can I say no? How can I disappoint them? And that's just our normal programming and training, that we're here to make others happy.
Yeah.
We're here to please others. And the reality is, for us, we're here for ourselves. Self-love comes first. Self-care comes first, especially during the holidays, but every day. And what that means is really understanding what would love do? What would self-love do? And if that means not attending that event, not seeing that person, that's okay. That's okay. And to sit with the guilt of saying, okay, I'm going to say no, but I'm feeling guilty. What's coming up for me? Why am I feeling guilty? Or I'm feeling like a bad person. They've done so much for me. I should really be there. Okay. Okay, that's good. You can feel those feelings. Feel the understanding of, this is what's coming up for me. But what does self-love look like? Self-love looks like I need to be at home. I need to stay with this person, or I need to do my own thing, or I'm going to go to Tahiti. that which works, but whatever that option is for you, feeling the guilt, feeling that it's there, and then letting it go. Saying that, I was trained, I was programmed that I'm here to please others, that I'm here to live for others. But I'm now understanding and knowing and living, I'm here for myself. Because when I can live for myself, that's when I can be fully present and shine my light for others. And so this is a huge transformation that we're going through as a collective, because we're used to actually dimming our light for others. When we say that, when we do something or say something that we don't want to do, or say something that we don't want to do for someone else, that's not shining our light. That's dimming our light for the other person. But we're here to shine our light more and more brightly. And that means setting the boundaries with love and letting people know with love, I can't make it. I love you, but it's just not going to happen this time. You don't even have to give a reason. If you'd like to, you can. But it's for us to like start letting go of that guilt, letting go of the need to please, of the need to make others feel that we're doing the right thing, and to start getting comfortable that we're doing the right thing for us, that we're here for us. And as we make that decision, our light shines brighter, our heart grows bigger, our soul, our true authentic nature starts to come out, because we're no longer hiding who we truly are. I'm no longer hiding who I am for you and for you and for you, and being the person you want me to be and being the person you want me to be. And that's exhausting. So as scary as it might be for us to start shining our light, setting the boundaries and speaking our truth, again, we are here for liberation. And once we take that first step in love and we realize, oh, okay, I can do this. I can say no. I can make my own decisions for what I will do for the holidays or who I'll be with. And I can still give love and share love and be peace. We see that everything starts shifting around us.
A lot of comments coming in of how profound this is, and thank you. And one of our people was talking about that they've reached the point where they prefer not to go back and be with their family. If we're lucky, we have relatives we get along with. If we're really, really lucky, we have relatives that we love that love us. And sometimes we're unlucky, and the family we were born into, we come to the conclusion, are not very nice people, or the kind of people that we relate to. So, and all things are true. Some people are blessed to have wonderful family members, and some people have challenging family members. And some people realize, I need to distance myself. And that's okay. She's been talking about self-love and self-care. And what's interesting is that, again, the spiritual teachers that I respect the most teach that self-love is not selfish.
Mm-hmm.
We were programmed to believe that. We primarily come from a Judeo-Christian background. Most of us come from Judeo-Christian, not yourself. But in that tradition, there's a lot of puritanical thinking and a lot of, martyring yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
To martyr yourself is to be holy. To, be selfless is to be spiritual. And actually, that was a program to keep the serfs from rebelling against the king, right? Really, I mean, it goes that far back. The people in power wanted to keep the minions primarily powerless. So, they instituted religions and interpretations of religion to keep us down in that way. The truth is, the people that I know that love themselves the most are actually the most service-oriented people. Because when you're filling your cup, then you're giving from the overflow, right? And when we are fulfilled, our human nature comes in, which is to be of service to others. As Marshall taught, the greatest joy in life is being of service to others. And the greatest tragedy in life is when we don't know that. People who are selfish are actually people who don't love themselves. So they're desperately grasping from everywhere else to try and fill their pot, which has a hole in the bottom. So the more water that goes in, it just goes right out the hole, right? So when we do have good self-care, when we do have good self-love, then we take good care of ourselves, but we also take good care of each other.
Mhm. And talking about Christmas time and this time of Christmas, you know, celebrating Jesus and the birth, life and birth of Jesus and the life of Jesus Christ, you know, we can now start to look beyond religion. And who was Jesus? He was here for love. He was here. He made so many miracles happen, but he said, what I can do, you will do even more. You can do even better. And we are here for that time to walk in the footsteps of the Christ. And he was here for love, master of peace. And that is this true awakening where we're beginning to understand that each one of us is a master of peace. Each one of us is a master of love. And we have the energy of Christ and the Christ consciousness living within each one of us. We have the divine compassion of Mother Mary and the beautiful motherly love she carries for all. It lives within each one of us, and we carry for all. Beauty of Christ, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, all of these beautiful beings who we revere as important figures of our time, we carry their energies within each in us, and we do not have to now be subservient to anyone to connect with those energies. The hierarchies that were created that would disconnect us and say, oh, for you to connect with Jesus or Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene, it's not possible unless it's through me, or it's not possible unless you do this or you do this. And the truth is, and that what we're all finding now, and we're connected, that we all have that ability to connect with the divine power in any moment and every moment. Whether you celebrate Jesus and Christmas, or you recognize the divine as Krishna, Rama, Shiva, Kuan Yin, Buddha, Prophet Muhammad, Khadijah, many, so many names, known and unknown, unseen and unseen, seen and unseen. But we're all here. Each one of us sitting here has that ability to connect ourselves with the Christ consciousness, with that peace and love that he exuded. So he was such a huge, charismatic, powerful being that we still celebrate his birth today. But that love, that great love that Jesus is, we also are. And we have the ability to tap into that great love, that great Christ consciousness, when we choose to love ourselves first and choose love, taking that pause, choosing love, setting the boundaries, and then connecting to who we really are. And as we connect to who we really are, we create the space in ourselves and in our hearts to let the light of the divine in and connect to Christ, connect to Mother Mary, connect to all divine beings, and really celebrate and create these holy moments together in the way that we know is possible for each one of us. And right now, because everyone is celebrating in this way, the field is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
The veils are very thin. Everyone is talking about Jesus and Mother Mary. Maybe they don't think about Jesus at all the whole year, and that's okay. But now the veils are very thin. The communication and the connection is wide open. So we can go back home or later today and connect into our heart and just open up that direct line to the divine and ask for guidance. Feel the love and feel the celebration of what the holiday truly means for us.
Beautifully stated, beautifully. I want to acknowledge, by the way, a lot of wonderful comments coming in from our Global Peace Tribe audience. And Jerry Anderson, our mystic monk, reminded us that when Swami Vivekananda, who's a really fun kind of comedian, but also has wisdom, was asked, how did you get illuminated? He said, I guess I was at the light place at the light time. And that kind of goes along with what she was saying, because the truth is, the light of the divine is within each and every one of us. Now, it's okay to go to church, to go to temple, but ultimately, all the great spiritual teachers teach us the same thing. It's inside of us. Since we're celebrating, a lot of us are celebrating Christmas, Christ, Mass, a couple of things that's important to know. His name was not Jesus Christ. His name was Yeshua of Nazareth. He became Jesus the Christ because he attained Christ consciousness, which he told us is available to all of us. When he said, I am the way, the truth, the life, no man cometh to the Father but by me, he was not referring to an organization founded hundreds of years later by disillusioned Romans. Okay? He was referring to the Christ consciousness, which is available to all of us. And so finding that light within, praying, God, show me my own light, or acknowledging our light. And what I find is we can experience that light through gratitude. When we are grateful, we start experiencing and seeing the world in a brighter way. And when we start acknowledging, how do I make the world a more wonderful place? Allowing yourself to do that, allowing yourself to celebrate what are the things you do to make life more wonderful for someone else. And that's another way to start finding your own light within. Because so often we give and we give and we give, and then we kind of look outside for validation. But if we can really start validating ourselves and really start celebrating ourselves, that is how we can find, or at least cultivate, that divine light within.
And so it's a powerful time, actually, to start a gratitude practice. If you have one, if you don't have one, again, because we have a lot of energies right now supporting us due to this holiday season and everyone in celebration and camaraderie and community. So the collective consciousness is a higher vibration during these moments. And that vibration is also supporting us in creating practices to support our own awakening, to shine that light brighter. So even just to wake up in the morning and write down 3 things that you're thankful for. 3 things. It can be the bed that you sleep in, the roof above you, the food on your table, because those 3 things we take for granted, but millions and millions of people around the world would love to have them. And we forget, which is normal, because, we get caught up in what we don't have, what's not going right in our life, what's not going right in the world around us. But when we wake up and we start with those 3 things, as simple as they might be, that, our ability to walk and move around, the clean air, well, relatively clean, compared to clean water, running water. These are all things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
But when we take a few moments in the morning just to remember even those, let alone all the other amazing blessings in our lives, we immediately raise the frequency for ourselves. Because all of a sudden we're not waking up and being like, oh my God, I got to go to work. I've got to get this done. I didn't finish this yesterday. That's how normally all of it, we pick up the phone. Oh my God, this happened. Did you see what he said? Oh my God, he did that. And we immediately fall into the chaos. And what does that do? That puts us into a different lower frequency, a lower vibration. I don't like to use the words lower and higher, but it's just, a way to describe in our language. But if we just, as soon as we wake up, before turning on the phone or thinking about work or what we have to do for who, just waking up and saying, wow, thank you. Thank you for my bed. Thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for the clothes I get to wear. Wow. That immediately shifts us into the frequency of gratitude. We say, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're in the frequency of love. And that's how we start our day, in the frequency of gratitude, in the frequency of appreciation, in the frequency of love for what we have on this planet. And then we carry that with us throughout the day. So it might be like a small thing, but just to say those three things. And then it also helps us to remember that we do have things to be thankful for. Because the whole world, you pick up Instagram, Facebook, social media. Oh, you don't have that. You don't have that car. You don't have those clothes. You don't have that handbag. You don't have that house. You're not going on that vacation. They're all telling us what we don't have. But we're here to celebrate how much we do have. Because when you look at the world around us, we are so blessed. We are so abundant. We are so loved, but we forget. And so what a amazing practice to help us remember that and start off our day in this vibration of love.
It's beautiful, beautiful tool. You know, we live better than kings and queens lived 100 years ago, you know? And since we're talking about, and this will be the last thing I share, and then you'll go get Charlie.
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, the next person coming up is Charlie, who is not only her husband, but also an incredible guy. So you want to stay for Charlie, and we're going to carry that on Global Peace Tribe. I just want to acknowledge our ancestors. You know, we talked about hard family stuff, but it's important for us during this time of year to honor our ancestors. You know, our ancestors made incredible sacrifices with one dream in mind, a better life for their offspring. They fought and died in wars. They traveled the oceans. They traveled the plains. They worked 3 jobs. And yeah, they didn't have the time to deal with their alcoholism or their low self-esteem or their issues that maybe we now have, right? But remember, they set us up to be this abundant, this free. Could your great-grandfather ever have imagined Whole Foods Market? No, really, I mean, think about that. When I walk into Whole Foods and I think, my God, my ancestors just a couple generations back could never have imagined that you could walk into this place and get any of these things, you know? So we are living in an incredibly abundant time, and it's because of the sacrifices of our ancestors. And with that freedom that we now have, it's up to us to pay it back by dealing with the alcoholism, by dealing with the low self-esteem. And guess what? We've got the freedom to do it and tools like you're going to discover today here at Soul Search, here at the Enlightenment Expo, because the different people inside that room have tools to help you with better communication, to help you with better health, to help you with more connection to your spiritual self or your divinity. So I want to kind of close this part of our time together just by let's honor our ancestors and let's do our work. And let's be grateful that we've got the freedom and the abundance and the tools that you're going to find inside that room or through the Global Peace Tribe shows to deal with those things.
Yes, beautiful. And so just to close, thank you guys for coming here today. I'd love for us to we only have a few minutes. So just close our eyes and take a deep breath in and exhale. And then another deep breath in, breathing into our spiritual heart and exhaling. And as you exhale, just feel at peace. And just feeling the peace and love of who you truly are as a divine being here on this planet. Feeling yourself connected to Mother Earth, Mama Gaia supporting us, and connected to the heavenly celestial realms. As you feel your soul rising higher and higher and higher, feel your connections to the angels, the archangels surrounding you and loving you. Feel Master Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Moses, Abraham, so many more prophets and masters all here with us in this moment during these holy days. Breathe in the love that you feel surrounding you, knowing and understanding that this divine love and support is with you in all moments, and that we can connect and communicate with our ancestors, the ascended masters, our spirit guides in every moment. And we celebrate together this new awakening of the new earth that we usher in together, feeling the eternal peace of who we are and feeling our heart expanding wider and wider and wider with the unconditional love of Source, sharing this love and beauty and harmony of who we truly are with all across the planet during these holy holidays. Breathing in the true love of who we are, we breathe it out to the planet, sharing our love and our eternal spirit and everlasting peace with all who need it in all of the war zones, the refugee camps, the hospitals, the orphanages. We travel around the world together, united, creating a planet of peace, of love, of abundance, of health, of beauty, prosperity, shifting, uplifting, raising the frequency of the planet together. We breathe in this beautiful energy that we have created during this holiday time. And we anchor this energy into us, into our cellular structure, into every strand of DNA, knowing that as we have uplifted the planet, we have uplifted ourselves to a higher octave. And we carry this together out into the world. Happy holidays.
That's beautiful. She gives good meditation, doesn't she? Good prayer.
Thank you all. So happy holidays, happy holy days. Thank you all for the beautiful energies from the Global Peace Tribe as well. And so let us all carry this energy of true peace and unconditional love out into the world, because this is the true meaning of the holidays. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just in a few minutes, Charlie, who's in the back, is going to come up here and share something brilliant. And for our Global Peace Tribe audience, while we're transitioning, Amushar is going to provide us with one more song.
So thank you all for being here. Happy holidays. Blessings.
I believe in true love. It's opened up my heart, leading me, leading you to new beginnings. And I believe in the one love that takes you by the hand, and you hear in a whisper of something to show you. Each day a new creation, a golden path before us. Our angel wings they open and soar us to new heights of understanding. I believe in the one voice, the spirit of our land, blowing me, blowing you, home to forever. And I perceive, not so far away, a world that breathes as one. So I live for this day and no more tomorrows. Each day a new creation, a golden path before us. Our angel wings they open and soar us to new heights of understanding. Love, bum ba dum ba dum bum bum ba dum, bum ba dum ba bum ba dum, bum ba dum ba da dum. Oh, each day a new creation, a golden path before us. Our angel wings they open and soar us to new heights of understanding. And Charlie's here, the sacred fire alchemist. And Charlie is here. So looking forward to your presentation. Today, a new creation, a golden path before us. Our angel wings they open and soar us to new heights of understanding.
Let's give a big twinkle to Omashar, who once again saved the day multiple times today, playing amazing music. Thank you, everybody, for moving and grooving and dancing to the music. Omashar, I love you so much.
Thank you so much. And Charlie, really looking forward to this next moment in time with you. Thank you for shining.
And with no further ado, we turn it over to Charlie.
Music. Is that our music or is that?
That's not mine.
Oh,
I think it's your live stream,
okay.
but I'm not,
No, you're right.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so Charlie's up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Enlightenment Expo. My name is Charlie Lamson. For those of you that have not known, let me try to figure this out. How does what is?
I'm trying to see.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little technical thing there, guys. So yeah, welcome to another Enlightenment Expo here. Welcome. Thank you, Scott, for having me on your show as well. We are here in Santa Ana and things are really beginning to just pick up a little bit. Today, I wanted to speak to you guys about the evolution of the soul, begin bringing people through the different epochs of the earth that we have been here. The humanity's consciousness has finally hit a point where people are beginning to comprehend and to be able to even contemplate higher truths without judgment in their hearts as if we were misled. Okay, this is a very big key to return back to different parts of where we hold these memories of times that we would call the Atlantean epoch or the Lemurian epoch, which were like pre-flood epochs of the earth that were very important and pivotal in the evolution of our souls, the evolution of consciousness. It was a very big feat for for the universe to begin individualizing itself into self-thinking aspects of itself, okay, which is what we have become. Okay, this actually, the miracle is that we can actually pretend that we're individual consciousnesses right now. And this is steps down from many different dimensions and through a great length of time. And it is starting to come into the consciousness now that people are having memories of like dreams of Atlantis and these other times where things seem different. People were very evolved in their magic. What we thought about just started happening, yet we did not hold memories. Okay, it wasn't until midway through the Lemurian epoch, which was a time when there was a major continent in the Pacific Ocean that spanned across Australia all the way over to Africa and Hawaii. It was a massive, massive continent that we called Mu or Lemuria. And it was the epoch of this time, lasted millions of years. And we developed finally for the very first time, individualized thinking, okay? And it was done in the women's body, the feminine body began starting to magnetize thought forms that were around them and they were able to hold them. Okay, it was a very unique time. And so for a long time, this is when you'll hear people talk about epochs of the earth when there was a matriarchy that ran the earth because women were the first ones to actually become more aware, I guess you could say. After millions of years of embodiments, we lived very much in a universal energy where we were all very connected. But we didn't know that we were separate or even trying to be separate from source. So we constantly lived in the world and not of it, but we were just directed by our feelings of what to do. It was like something else was telling us what to do. We were very, very connected. And then when the individualization began taking place, we went through a process of almost like testing to see if you would completely give your power away to whatever's telling you what to do. And this is very similar to what we're experiencing now. And these testings almost happen at the time of a shift in consciousness. Okay, and for us in this modern age is like, how much power are you going to give to your phone and to media and like overwrite your own intuition on what's real, what's to do, and things like this. And but very incrementally, and because we had decreed after the last flood in Atlantis collectively as the God presence of the I am that I am, that we would never flood the earth again. But it was a collective decision to do these resets from the beings that were here working on these planes. But there's nothing left to learn from this. Now, I want to walk you back just so you understand how long we've actually been incarnating on the earth as God beings, not as animal beings, but as like God beings, has been for close to 16 million years. Okay, and we were not as dense as we are now. We did not have as much weight. If you had physical eyes, our eyes looking upon the beings that we were would look like they're ghosts, are very ethereal. The earth was not as solid as it is now, yet it was solid for us at that time because the frequency of the vibratory action and the electrons and the atomic structure matched us. Okay, when we ascend to a higher state of living that we can't even see side by side with us because of the atomic frequency, whether it's angels or fairies and things like this, they're all here, they're all side by side with us, but they're on a different vibratory action, a different revolution of the electrons spinning around the atoms has sped up to a degree that we can't see them from the physical octave. But they're all right there. And this is the octaves that we used to live in. That's why I shut it off.
Sorry.
That's all right. My testers. No, it's okay. It's okay. But this is a very interesting time, and we're here, and many of you have experienced, your souls are infinite, okay? And it's been deemed from the hierarchies, the angelic kingdoms, that it is, and from our higher selves, that the two things that have really held humanity in a matrix of like refusing to ascend into a higher, to evolve, it has been the fear of death and the fear of debt. These two things are illusions. And the way that they're going to start beginning to help us, we're going to begin remembering incrementally our life in between lives. We're going to remember choosing and applying for our life to come into the physical embodiment and understanding we come here to take on the worst, I mean, what we could consider traumas and all these different things to overcome, because it's literally the only place in the universe that we get to experience those things in our local universe, to be able to have a third dimensional body and forget that we're all aspects of God. You know, we're like fully in the physical. And now that we've worked all of this out after it took 15,000 years, you know, since the flood, about approximately, or 13,000 years to, we bent the axis of the earth. So we were like completely disconnected and the world started wobbling like it does now. We have our seasons and all of this kind of thing. But incrementally right now, as our consciousness is awakening, we're starting to see the axis of the earth slowly but surely starting to go into an alignment. All right. I know if there's anybody here that knows anything about engineering or land surveying and things like this, when you see the guys out on the highways measuring for roads, you have to constantly adjust to the magnetic North Pole. Doesn't match up with the North Pole. It keeps moving. All right. So when you're drawing maps and designing buildings, you have to take that into consideration. And this is a reflection because the axis is coming into alignment to align us to our higher chakras and to the star Polaris. Okay, these are very, very celestial. They're actual living beings that work in the energy of us. This is how, I guess you could say, astrology and, you know, all these different things. It's all living beings. Everything's alive around us and they project energy. But where I'm going with this is after the flood, and there was a great misuse of the consciousness grids where people were very powerful and began manipulating for like governance and government control and this kind of thing, and locking people into certain matrices that was beginning to decay and devolve the population. And this is what's being rewritten now, finally. You're going to start seeing certain matrices of that has been not controlled. I don't want to say like a bad thing. We agreed to be manipulated to see what it's like to break out of it, I guess you could say, as part of our evolution. But it's uncomfortable, and it feels a lot like it did when the flood was about to happen. Because that's why in the last 100 years, we hear all these stories of, oh, there's an imminent earthquake, or you know, we hear all these things, or global warming, all of this kind of stuff, and all the seas rising. It's because it's a memory. These memories are starting to come up to the surface from within us because the frequencies of Earth feel a lot like it did then, and we don't really want to remember. And so we refuse to awaken to a certain degree. But ready or not, it's like unavoidable. You're going to start seeing media on internet, all these different things are going to start being, the matrix of narrative, I guess you could say, is going to start breaking up. And then people will actually start reporting media like it's journalism and being in the news instead of like broadcasting from all sides, like certain things that people are supposed to believe, I guess, if that makes any sense. And it's a good thing. And people, you're going to start seeing things before maybe some of your friends and things like this. And it's only because you're meant to, and you're going to want to be like, oh my God, can't you see this? Can't you see this? And they won't be able to see it yet because their own soul is not allowing them to see it yet. Okay. And it's, we just have to be patient. We just allow it and know it's unfolding. Enjoy that you're starting to see the light break through this matrix, which doesn't seem like the light to a lot of people. They're going to be like, I don't want to change. I don't want to worry about this. What's going to happen to the banking? What's going to happen with crypto? What's, you know, everything that's in our life today, people start having a fear that something's changing. Everybody knows everything has to change. That's the one constant in everything, is everything changes. But when it comes down to it, it's uncomfortable. Okay, and so we're right at that point right now where it's like a little uncomfortable, but everything is changing for the better. There's a higher plan that each of us carry keys to visualize and bring into us. And this was hard won. This is something that's been activated over millions and millions of years. To become a God realized or a self-realized being in the physical body is extremely unique. We're in like one of the lowest dimensions that you can actually live and become self-realized at the same time and understand what some of these teachers would say, like, I am in the world, but not of it. Okay, we are living and learning how to be in the physical body, having a physical experience. And now the next phase of evolution is bringing our higher self, our eternal self, into the physical body consciously and with awareness. And this is right where we're at now. In the next decade, we're going to start seeing people embodying this. This is like what Jesus and other people that have reached this Christ consciousness and the anchoring of your higher self, your eternal self into the physical body is what's occurring, where you can maintain a high vibratory action with the electrons revolving around your atoms and still be in the physical plane, having an effect on the physical plane around you. When the masters would talk about one day you will have dominion over the earth, this had nothing to do with kingship or dictatorship. This means that your radiance begins affecting reality. And when the higher the vibration, the higher and the faster the electrons are spinning around the atoms and they're harmonized within your body, and you get through the process, you begin creating perfection wherever you go. Because everything around you, even the bodies of the consciousness around you, the people around you, will respond to your energy. Okay? It's not miracles. There's science behind this that look like miracles when you could touch somebody and they heal, because the truth is there is nothing but perfection. Everything else is like a distortion in the field that we've sort of created, it's like a dirty window. And as your vibratory action gets faster and faster and stronger, we are beginning to fully realize that we have effect on reality. Even the very light particles and the very electrons in our energy field are going to begin responding, where you can now use your God power of imagination and visualization and visualize your food on the table, and the universe has no choice but to make it manifest. Okay, the very electrons in the air will transmute into whatever it is you visualize. That is what is spoken of dominion over the earth, dominion over the molecules, dominion over this. And it is possible. There are at least thousands on the earth doing this right now. All over like in the Himalayas, the masters, they can create fields of energy around their body, in their aura, and just walk in robes and sandals in the top of the Himalayas and they're not affected by it. Okay. And it's also the other way, the other way around, where we've got to wear all this Nordic gear and climbing gear, yet the guy that's guiding us is wearing like a robe, and it's like, it's because they've got mastery over these things. Most of the people that are on the earth right now embodied have had embodiments. Their soul has lived in different times and have mastered certain things for this lifetime. Okay, where some of these gifts and talents, the siddhis, I believe the Buddhists or the Vedics, they call these great gifts, are hard won. They're not given to us. Okay, we as a soul sometimes spend multiple lifetimes again and again and again to master one aspect of meditation, to create these pathways, to be able to draw energy into our DNA and to do these kind of things, or to learn how to heal people, or to like speak to plants and things like this that were from another epoch in Lemuria. Before we had the ability to think and retain memory, we were in full communion with the plants. The plants would tell us what, like Native Americans will tell you, how when you go to the Amazon, they'll tell you, when you ask, how did you know what leaves to put together to make a poultice when you're walking through the jungle or walking through the land? And they would say, well, the plants told us. They said, here, use me, you know, they would speak through colors and things like this, like the auras would make themselves known. And that's how we lived for millions of years. We didn't have labs in Western medicine. You know, we were in full communion, and now it's all coming full circle. We have now come to a certain degree of mastery in this density or the physical body. And now you are about to see even medicine, Western medicine is going to start bridging back and integrating a lot of energy work and sound work into mainstream medicine. Okay, because now the scientists that by design, by their own soul's path, have made them focus on all the physical effects. We had to learn what this physical body really was. This is pretty new for what we are in relation to the universe. Okay, and it's very much miraculous that we've been able to, as God beings, begin creating and manifesting in such a density of physical bodies. And so it was part of our soul's evolution as well to not go into judgment over when we hear things about big pharma and Western medicine, but to also acknowledge that this was a very pivotal point that needed to be known. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci and masters of those ages, they very much studied the physical body because it was so unique, and it needed to be known and anchored into the consciousness before we could start bouncing back and become the next level of evolution, which is known as the Homo luminous or Homo sanctus being, which will still be physical, but will be back more into our eternal youthful. You know, in the coming hundreds of years, people with their own minds will be able to master not aging and being sick and things like this. Our vibratory actions will be high enough that we won't catch viruses and things like that. It's not because the lower vibrations will just be being bathed off the earth organically. It's not like one person coming and saying it's gone. It's going to be like it's all of us collectively coming into a higher consciousness, and our vibratory actions getting so big that sickness cannot touch us. We can get injured. I mean, we've lived in these states before when we were less physical, and we still killed each other. We still did all that stuff, you know, as part of God only knows what that's about. But we used to have wars in these higher states of living and fought over things like this. But we did live 400 years, 500 years, and even when we did leave our bodies, we basically meditated out of them in perfect form. Yeah, we would get injured, and as long as we didn't leave our bodies in that injury, we knew how to just correct it. You know, we could do it with our minds. And there's been some very high civilizations on Earth, but never moving into the high civilizations that we are moving into next as we move into the next golden age, where it's this physical. Okay, a lot of these times, there's a reason why we don't find all of the ruins of Atlantis and Lemuria and all these places, even when we're under the sea. There are a lot of remnants, but we don't find the bodies is the thing. We hear the stories of finding giants and, you know, skeletons of mummies that are 12 feet tall and things like this, which is true. This is really what we were. We were less dense, so we weren't so compacted into a 5 or 6 foot body. We were lighter. There was more space between the atoms of our body, which made us taller. But what happened is when we decayed, it was also less dense, so it would disappear almost. It would etherealize instead of being like bones in the ground that takes hundreds of thousands. You know, at this density, it takes a long time for the bones to actually break up and turn back into dust and be back in the earth, where it didn't take so long before. But towards the end of these epochs, the energy did get a lot more dense. So we do have some remnants that will be discovered and displayed very shortly. In the next probably 50 years, you're going to find that there was great high civilizations in what we call the Amazon today, that were probably 50 to 100,000 years ago. And these were other epochs. This was in the Atlantean epoch before the flood. That was a golden ages, you know, parts of the golden ages. We've had these cycles go through where there's great ages of enlightenment, and then we fall, and then we raise again, but then the epochs will change. We are in the post-Atlantean epoch right now, and getting ready to begin birthing what we're calling the seventh root race on the earth, the seventh and the final root race, which are very like godlike beings, and they're going to begin, if they haven't already, these children are going to begin incarnating in South America. There will be like kind of red hair with blue eyes, and like but also like very tan skin, not like we see like Irish people, like in Ireland or the Celtic kind of traditions. It's going to be more and they're born very gifted. They're not going to forget who they are. They'll be born with the ability to levitate and this kind of thing, because they're the next phase of humanity coming into incarnation. And we've accomplished the mission of helping the previous root races, where since the fall of our consciousness was in the middle of the fourth root race. And then we've also been in part, now we have multiple, like what look like races on the earth right now, is aspects of different root races that have been merged here. We used to come in, there was other epochs on the earth. The first one named the Polarian epoch, and where the whole civilization had gone through all of these trials and tribulations and everything before, and the entire collective made their ascensions like Jesus did. The entire population of the earth made their ascensions and would pave the way for another higher being to bring in their root race. And they would go through all their evolutions, all their cycles, they would work out all this stuff and make another one. The second one was called the Hyperborean epoch. And then after this, we had the Lemurian epoch. And this is where we started getting stories about star seeds and the Pleiadian mothers and all these different stories that are probably going to start coming into your consciousness. This is where the stories came in about the Anunnaki and like aliens coming and adjusting genetics and things like this, because we began a project in that epoch to begin welcoming souls that were not able to ascend from other worlds. Okay, and in the Bible, when it speaks of the in-breath of God, the universe breathes in the way that we are meant to breathe, in a 4-step breath. The breathe in, a pause, and breathe out, and pause. Okay, on the out breath, the universe expands. From the great central sun, it expands out. We create worlds without end. And then we pause. And then on the in breath, all of the information, all the frequencies begin elevating in everything that expanded, and we begin raising and like ascending. I guess you could say this, going from a 4th dimension into a 5th dimension in our consciousness. And every world does this. The 9th dimension becomes the 10th dimension. Every different star system, everything that exists goes in this process, because all the frequencies elevate towards the great central sun. The planets that are closest to their suns begin moving into the radiance of the sun. Everything moves closer to the sun, and all the suns are moving closer to the great central sun. It's a process, and everybody has to be evolved enough to handle that radiation. Okay, if you were even on our Earth today, in our bodies, how do I say this? If somebody was to time travel from the 1800s and come to here right now, they would have radiation poisoning, because their bodies would not be able to handle the frequencies that the earth is moving forward in right now. Okay, so right now we are elevating our frequencies to be able to handle the radiance, because ready or not, we're moving closer and we're getting, the frequencies are higher. I don't know how else to perceive this, but it's like we're getting closer to the sun. Okay, at a very specific rate. Now, 4.5 million years ago, in the middle of the Lemurian epoch, we had, as an act of mercy, the last in-breath happened. And so we are we have, like, as far as our sun, has about 7 or 12 brothers and sisters. So this is where the names Isis and Osiris, Jesus and Sophia, Zeus and Terra, Helios and Vesta. It's a 7-sun system that's in a little bit different dimensions, so we don't really see it with our physical eyes. and they each have their own planets. They have their own solar systems, okay? And when this project was going, or when this last process was going on, every world has 1% of the collective population that is not able to make that ascension. And they would have to be in all times past, that 1% of the souls would just etherealize back in the sun and be reset and start their evolutions over again as a flower petal, or, you know, simply be purified, and then would start their whole evolution of consciousness again. At this time, for the first time in our known universal history from the hierarchy, a plan was hatched to bring these 1% of these souls, or it was 0.1% perhaps, from each of these worlds to incarnate on the earth, to work out their karma, to work out that density, so that, and the earth agreed to stay back. And so, like, we changed positions in the solar system somehow, you know, it's all divinely orchestrated. And the earth stayed in the third dimension when all the other worlds jumped. That's why we don't see life on Venus and see life on Jupiter and all these places, because they're in a higher dimension, that the life is in a higher dimension. Okay, and so we took them as an act of mercy. We thought it was going to take one cycle of about 26 or 30,000 years to allow these souls to purify their consciousness, and then the earth was going to catch back up to her brothers and sisters. But what was unforeseen was that all the thought forms that affected those souls on all these other worlds, even though everything's behind the veil. You don't know you're from another world or anything like this. You're born into the population, but then your astral body still carries the imprints of all the things you've been through, the traumas, all the stuff that kept you in that frequency. And that's what we have to learn. We had to learn how to dissolve within them. In that time, instead of humanity being able to heal them and nurture them and walk them through, and there was a priesthood and the high priest to really help them neutralize that energy, instead humanity started playing with the thought forms. All these different things of power structures and all this kind of stuff was new to the earth for after millions of years, and it was never even known. This is like what the Garden of Eden, I guess you could call it, this was. It was just perfection, and we were all very ethereal, and we just followed our feeling and our heart and all these things. We didn't know what a lie was. We didn't know what any of that kind of thing was. And we began playing with those thought forms. And it took us another 4 million years to finally work through this system, rise and falls of civilizations, until finally it was revealed to us that this was meant to be a huge melting pot of the universe, and it made Earth like a school, like something that was like every soul was always protected. Okay, nobody was gonna like lose the game, but we would come into this game to like use these energies and heal, and we finally have done it. Like all of these souls that were stuck have all been elevated, and now there's like other systems of worlds that some of the souls that were here pure that got infected by all this stuff are able to start, they're going to another place to like start working out their stuff. And now we are moving forward, like ready or not. So this is a great time to be here, and all of you have played a huge part in this. Okay, whether you know it or not, you're going to start remembering why you're here, and it has nothing to do with our jobs or the stuff. It's like literally to be breathing and being feet on the ground to allow higher energy from our higher self to begin elevating things. And the last ditch effort to hold the earth back was 100 years ago. You know, there was a 100-year plan hatched from, you know, the dueling spiritual forces of the earth. And, but it was never gonna go the other way. You know, now it's been dissolved, and we're starting to move forward into a new golden age. And the age of Aquarius is being bathed, that the great central sun is bathing us in a violet ray, like a violet fire that is transmuting all the discordant energies, all the war thought forms, all the governance thought forms, all those things that have been holding people leveraged, and all those kind of energies are being brought to the surface now. It's important as this happens, because there are many people that we have looked up to, whether it's, you know, we've idolized them, or in politics, all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that is coming to the surface right now. It's important for us to not condone the behaviors, but just don't let the judgment sink into your consciousness. Like, let it move through. It's like a great final detoxing, and it's all consciousness. All these people, so many have been leveraged and misused and not known how to get out of it, but they are all humans and they're all us. And it's important for us to just allow this process to unfold within our own consciousness. We don't have to get into arguments with our friends and families and stuff. Just know that there's something occurring, and it's orchestrated. It's orchestrated by a higher plane to help the earth move through. She's purging so many thoughts that were so dense from many epochs, all the way through Atlantis, and of traumas that have been stored right in the minerals that are like now being purged up to the surface. So a lot of things that we see like being triggered on the earth, it's not like the people or the races, it's like thought forms that are affecting them. Okay, and it's important for us to just keep praying and blessing. God bless the earth. Let these higher beings bathe the earth with these violet flames and transmute this energy once and for all. This could take 50 years or 2,000 years, but within 2,000 years, we will be in the final golden age of the earth that will be maintained here. But it doesn't need to take that long. So keep dreaming big. Let your thoughts be of what you imagine heaven on earth would be like, without thinking how you would have to fix it, or, oh, that'd be impossible, we'd have to do that. Don't go into those frequencies. Just be there. What would it smell like? What would the colors look like? Use your senses and your imagination. Be the little child again that can fly and do all of these things, because this is where humanity is going as we become the homo luminous beings, the homo sanctus. There's a couple, it's been given to us in different words, but but know that we are absolutely evolving past homo sapien. This was hard. And it is also important to remember, I know, people that are scientists that have been confused for a long time of how we've evolved, where they thought that we really came from ape species and went into the caveman, and on to here. It's important to note that we actually devolved into the caveman. There was no bridge. Okay, the apes and those beings were embodied by elemental souls, not God souls like we are. Okay, and the animal kingdom, we didn't evolve from the animal kingdom into who we are here as humans. Okay, we actually devolved to a certain degree, and this is where you get the information about star seeds and things like this coming in, and you'll hear stories of aliens coming and genetically splicing these things, this kind of thing. But it was more often, I'm not saying there was no experimentation done by higher beings, but there was mostly and primarily high consciousness souls from other worlds, other star systems that were not from these fallen consciousness, but actually have gone through the process of evolving with a planet before, volunteered to come here and incarnate into the evolving race, which at that point was a caveman or Cro-Magnon, this kind of being. And just the vibration, even though you'd be behind the veil and these souls were embodying into these beings, their vibratory action of their DNA and their consciousness began evolving the DNA. Just the vibration of a higher consciousness began like almost programming the bodies, and incrementally it began pushing the evolution back the other way, because everything was devolving, and now we had to create an evolution again. And that's something that's going to start coming into the consciousness, and people will begin truly beginning to remember that stuff. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? What's on your guys' mind? Have you guys ever heard anything like this? Go ahead.
Satan are out there trying to make a picture of your mother that's passed or something, but she doesn't come in, or if she does, can she come in and still be out in the cosmos, but yet in another incarnation too? Like, how does our soul?
You must understand that the cosmos is within each of you. When we come down into a lower dimension, we actually become like the outer limits of the universe. Okay, like our skin, the whole universe is actually inside us, and we sort of project out here, and it's easier to explain things like that. But when our loved ones cross over, yes, they're closer to you than hands and feet. Okay, they're in your heart. You can begin developing. You don't need a medium. You are a medium yourself. Okay, and it's more, use us, the people that are doing readings and stuff, to help you remember who you are. Okay, the way it was taught to me was to begin creating that heaven. What's heaven look like to me? And for me, I was getting visions of being like at a university that was made of all this like white marble, it looked like Yale or something, but all the buildings were made of white marble and beautiful ornate gold leaf park benches and things like this. And then begin thinking of my loved one. And I'd be just sitting there like feeding the ducks or whatever, and allow them to sit down. And it seemed like an imaginary conversation at first. You're like, your mind will tell you this is crazy, but what you're doing is you're building a bridge. It's like digging a tunnel.
It's like changes simultaneous with this incarnation, and we could still be in other places.
Absolutely, it's all happening at one time. Yeah, no, the soul sits above the timeline and sends down ray, like if you visualize it like a sun, okay, and like peppers the entire timeline. And not only can you guys be together at like different times because you're soul family, you're part of a soul family or a soul group, but who you're affecting all the other versions of you that are across the timeline all at once. Each one of you can think you've overcome a problem or a situation, also it slams back in again because one of your other versions didn't get the message. Like we start learning that's why some things seem so hard and sluggish to get through and get over. But when you can start visualizing and like praying for all of yourself and when one of you begins invoking the law, begins awakening and starts invoking the laws of forgiveness and redemption for all across space and time. And you start like praying for yourself as understanding that you are that eternal being that's separated itself into 1,000 different versions of you all across the timeline. You understand that you can begin lifting it all up. And then some traumas that you might have had, you never lose the lessons, okay? But all of a sudden your life will be like it never happened. You'll know it happened. You've done the thing. For me, when I went through this process, I was a heroin addict. I had a physical disability, a failed spinal fusion, and I began these practices. And I didn't have to try to quit doing drugs or anything. It was like I forgot to do them. It like washed it out of my consciousness. And I wasn't sick. Like I was an addict, which is like physical too. It was like physical withdrawals and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, I haven't done anything in days. And then I freak out, right? But then it was like gone. It was gone. And like and once I experienced that we have that power, you can't unexperience it. Whether people could cast their doubts at you all day long, and you're like, well, I can't unexperience what happened, but it's like this with everything. And yes, you definitely probably, you've had many, many embodiments in different roles with your mother. She's a soul sister to you, not just just mom and daughter. You've probably been sisters more times than you've been mom and daughter. Okay. She's closer to you, and how long has she been crossed? I was gonna say, she's like, it really seems like she's rejuvenated now. Like, her energy is like very like vibrant, and she's like, yeah, she's all like radiating light around me right now. So it's like she's in training for her next, like what she wants to do next, or I guess you could say, but she's with you. She's hearing everything you say. Just begin to have it. You're going to notice your imaginary conversations are going to be like, well, what would mom say if I asked her this? And start doing that, and all of a sudden you'll see the conversation start taking off, and you'll be like, oh my God, I know I'm not doing this, you know, and to learn to trust your own intuition. She's a powerhouse, you know, she's a powerhouse. Just simply do that. Allow yourself to understand there is no death. There is this, I mean, there just truly isn't. And you're going to, your whole comprehension of things is going to change. You may start playing around with doing like QHT, like quantum hypnosis and things like this, and to help you remember, your soul your guides have a specific plan for you to like wash all thoughts of death out of your consciousness. There's nothing to do. It's going to happen organically.
¿Ah?
Okay.
La chofer no me está contestando.
Ah,
Parece que me dijeron que su teléfono se le había muerto, que no traía el cable.
ok. Entonces no sabe cuándo va a llegar.
What is that all about?
It's different. It's your soul. You have a soul essence, a soul character that's like something that's in you. And then we agree both to be men, women, like your soul is having these experiences as being rich, poor, royalty, poverty, man, woman, gay, straight, black, white, like you're having your soul our souls evolve eternally. So it wants to experience everything. Okay, and we do. And so we start, how do I explain it? How do I put this simply? So you are affecting everything. You're here on this timeline now. So your soul is beginning to direct all the other versions of itself towards you. Okay, to begin integrating all the 3D versions of you, because it has to come back together to shoot up into the next dimension, the next octave. But you're the focal point. You and your next, the one that's ahead of you. Okay, like it's all happening at once. All our future lives and past lives are all happening right now. Okay, but everything we do keeps affecting all the other ones. You're affecting past ones because time isn't really real, and the past ones are affecting future ones, and every thought we have, it's creating new like ripples. So when I tell you to like work on your meditation and you're taking those 5 minutes, it starts gathering all the pieces back to yourself. Okay, it's like you're calling back all your thoughts, all your power, and it's very important.
Can I put these back? I just need to get the cord out of my bag too. My phone's dying.
Anybody else? What time we got? Oh, got a few minutes. Anybody have anything?
Okay, thank you. Blessing. So to get my cord out of here.
That you're talking about, Emily? Yeah. Oh, no, I just started talking about different versions. There's a technique, I just learned this first. Oh, yeah, yeah, you light a candle.
Want some vitamin C? Vitamin C? ¿Tú quieres?
Like the soft-
Solamente para.
Yes.
¿Quieres?
Yes.
Ya le dije a la muchacha que
It
iban a
is,
ser
it is
$100.
absolutely.
Van a ser 65 por ella y 35 por el niño.
Yes. Your soul will
Estas nomás se
will
chupan, se
start
muerden.
seeing all the different versions of you. Okay, and like this is what
Estas se
happens
chupan.
like kids nowadays.
chupan.
Chew, chewable, yeah.
Body or
You
something
can
like
chew it
that.
or just suck
They
it.
don't have
Amar o
as many veils as we
masticar,
have.
como tú quieras.
Okay, so like there's like, why do I not feel right?
Please
They
mute.
feel like a man, not today they feel like a woman. Like they're not really aligned to understand exactly what it is that they're feeling. But like this practice that she has, you could begin understanding, okay, I chose to come into this body in this time. I'm okay. Right. And then you can start seeing that, oh my God, this is why sometimes I feel like a woman, is because I was this woman. And you'll start getting but when you start seeing them with practice, you can also start gaining the memories and the experiences you lived as that person, not the traumas, like the traumas we have been working on healing unknowingly. This is the things that come up in our life, the things that make us mad, the things that we want to react to are all traumas and things that were put onto us in other embodiments. Fear of heights, fear of getting up on stage, all those things. Somebody probably threw tomatoes at us, or like that kind of thing. And we start becoming aware of what we want to react to before we react. And this starts a healing process. But once you get through that, and you're starting to feel like you're pretty confident, like people can't really tick you off and you don't judge them either. You know, you're just kind of like confident and, you know, in yourself. You're okay within yourself and peace within yourself. Then you start doing practices like this, and you'll start because it's your own soul, like choosing who to show you. You know, it's not mystical, it's not ghosts. It's like your own higher self, your own eternal self is beginning to show you what you're ready to see. And when you set that intention, the difference between a flame, like a candle, is that it's constant. It's like the sun. Okay, we can't, like natural light or artificial light flickers, even though it's flickering very fast, so it looks like it's steady. It doesn't allow the subconscious to bring out all the other aspects of yourself. Okay, we don't need to look at it like it's witchcraft or anything else. It's just communing with ourself. It's communing with your higher self, and it's okay, and it's trippy. Like it's like sometimes you'll see these other versions of you, and it'll jump back to it. It'll be like because they must be doing the same exact, because you're also doing it all across time. They're probably doing the same exact thing, looking at you, be like, who's this guy? Well, because we're all in the same timeline, but your higher self is the higher self of all of them, right? And they're all having different experiences, but your higher self will start showing you, or start showing them you, and you them, and so that because we're going through a soul integration process right now to begin to gather all our parts. It's like the story of Osiris, and they cut him into a bunch of pieces, and then Isis had to go around, the mother had to go and get all the pieces and put Osiris back together to start giving birth to a new world, to give birth to Horus. Okay, and this is like sort of, but we all have to do this. Okay, this was just anchored into the consciousness to, you know, the lower worlds, or they said Satan did that, or Set, his brother cut him into pieces and tried to rule the world and all that stuff. It's like the same story that we're all going through, except now we're like became aware of like, oh, I just gave my power to all these false idols. I gave my power to the news and the media and YouTube and all this stuff, and I allow it to get me mad. I allow it to, but then you like take responsibility, like no more. Nothing matters but my peace. And when you start holding that peace, you become a super magnet to all the other parts of you, all the thought forms that need to be integrated back into you. You will also be traveling. You'll find all of a sudden you'll have fascination with ancient sites. You'll be wanting to go see Greece and Egypt and all these stuff, because you're not just gathering all the pieces of yourself that have been just like the regular human, but all the ones that have been a master too, that have been high priestesses and understand all the rules of the universe, because I promise you, we have all had those teachings so that we can awaken at this time on the timeline and gather all our parts.
Along the same line, I have a very difficult time making up my mind for a lot of things in life, lots of money, but would that, I'm trying to figure what it's coming from, would it be coming from like maybe all these different timelines of myself as well?
It is, and it's a lot of it kind of is, yes, to put it simply, but it's important. Don't put your thoughts on that. Just like learn that lapis will help you in making decisions, because it is like there is no wrong decisions. There is dead ends, but there is no wrong decisions. But if we get stuck at the fork and don't make a choice, we don't know which one's the dead end. Okay, so like your guides are just screaming right now. They're like, just make a decision. It's not wrong. Okay, like at least you'll know that's a dead end, and just as fast as you can run back to the fork of the road, and then you know the other one's the right way. Okay, but just we have to like get over that, and it's not you alone. It's not that you're just picking up on all the other timelines. You're picking up on society in general. It's like a normal thing, because there's so much mental chatter, and this is right, this is wrong, this is the right thing to do, this, that it like confuses everything. And this is why like one of my teachers is Jesus, is like my guide and teacher, who says like, you guys are looked up to by us because we didn't have to deal with such a matrix of confusion to break through. We could walk in the mountains and everything was quiet. You could meditate. You walked out of Jerusalem or you walked out of the city, it was quiet. There was no Wi-Fi and 5G, all just, even when you're not actually on the phone, you're still like, the energy and because our vibratory action is getting higher, we're also much more psychic. So we're like picking up on everybody's thoughts too. So even if you're not the one on the TV and getting affected by that, 10 people driving by you in the car are. And so we have to learn how to like keep our energy clear and isolated but we're doing it. Like we're breaking through the matrix and nothing can stop it now. Like it's like that game Parachute when you were a little kid. Everybody puts up the parachute in the air and then you run underneath it, that kind of thing. Well, consciousness is finally being lifted up, because enough energy is underneath it, where for a long time, the consciousness was like a circus tent that was thousands of pounds, and you'd work real hard to get one tent post up, and then you'd get another one, and then you'd go work on that one over there, and this one would fall down. And like, so the consciousness wasn't like able to really lift, and we were stuck with cows and carts and horse and buggies for 15,000 years. And now all of a sudden, 100 years ago, like, boom, we're like, well, first the first wave of, when Pluto moved into Aquarius, we had the Renaissance, which opened like pathways of scientific thinking and things like this. And then it caused revolutions of thought, revolutions of consciousness. Then 250 years later after that, we had the Revolutionary Wars of France and America. Like it's a consciousness change where people are claiming their freedom, no longer being told what to do by God, that kind of thing. And now it just happened again. Pluto just came into the sign of Aquarius again. And now it's like it's causing us a push through the veil, through the matrix. And we're watching another major consciousness revolution right now. And it's going to unfold. It could be physical battles and it could be just consciousness of thought, but there's definitely a lot of new technology already being brought in. They've already talked about releasing very quickly the vertical lifting, air mobility, family vehicles and things like this. And like they already exist. They just have to deregulate to get them down. Like Elon Musk, SpaceX already has them on the line. And then building the infrastructure for them and stuff like that. But like, this is where we're going in like within a decade. This is all like, we're here to watch this whole consciousness like radically change. And all the technology is just reflecting our consciousness. Everything on Earth is reflecting how fast we are speeding up.
I'm curious, what do you think of it? You can keep on scrolling higher than right.
He has most people that are autistic are of a higher consciousness and they refuse to step down. You will see one day autism is going to start flashing out of the world, because what happens is the soul refused to step down its frequency coming into incarnation. So to a certain degree, they don't register time. They don't see things linearly. They still see it like almost another dimension, and yet they're in this linear world. And so he is partially autistic. So he connects with all these most people that are prodigies and geniuses and things like this, you're connecting things unlinearly. So when he goes into contemplation, he can connect into the future and bring stuff in. And so can other people that like children that can play Mozart and things like this. You're actually tapping in to what we call a higher mind. Okay. And that's where we ultimately come from as the I am that I am, of the causal mind. Okay. And with autism, these are children that are actually radiating, even though they're having a hard time in this world. Oh, they're absolutely telepathic. Yes.
The scientists that were filming were just like, this is really weird.
Yeah. Well, it's why they're so frustrated, because people can't read their mind. They don't know. There's no words to communicate the amount of information that comes through them. So it's extremely frustrating. This world feels like it's retarded. It's like to them, it's like, how come I can't communicate? Why do I have to work so hard to make this happen? Because they still carry that high frequency. But now, as the human condition is beginning to elevate, their bodies are going to start aligning with their actual frequency, and it's going to start like, and they'll be a lot more functioning and more like Elon Musk until, you know, like this kind of thing where instead of being like deemed like some kind of disability, it'll be like you know, they're bringing major gifts into the world. They can dream things into the consciousness grid by being in this dimension, in this field, yet still channel that higher information. When their thoughts are going, they're like seeding a consciousness grid of all futuristic things, all stuff that they want to bring in, but it's just hard to ground that energy into this world. So it's very difficult, but it is not a retardation. It is not like a birth defect. It's just a very high consciousness trying to come into a low consciousness and not stepping down. Yes.
Kids are beyond norms right now are actually being born with a higher frequency than generations before.
Absolutely. Every generation being born now is holding their frequency. This is how everything is organically going to change on the world. We don't need to go to war with Iran. We don't need to do all this stuff to change the consciousness, because the children being born in all these places are carrying a higher consciousness. They will have more things to dissolve. They still are being born into the human condition and into the situations, but ultimately their frequencies are elevating past it. When you
said about that, looking in the mirror and seeing your souls and seeing the different people, like male, female, whatever. And I was having a thought, is that why maybe there's so much confusion about this generation, about this sexuality?
Well, it is because they're very connected to everything. It is, yeah, but it is very important, and I don't mean to go on some kind of rant that people, just for their spiritual purpose, to really keep their chemistry as they came in, because we carry the masculine body carries a positive charge in the physical body and a negative charge in the spirit body. And the feminine garment carries the negative charge in their physical body and a positive charge out here. And so when we take inhibitors and like chemistry changers like estrogen and testosterone that's not of our nature, it dissolves our electromagnetic field. And so they are more susceptible to like a, you know, like you don't have your own inner protections, you know. And so like sexuality doesn't really make much of a difference as far as your attention goes and your process, but keeping your body harmonized and in your perfection as best you can is very important. And we must have our spirit body, our emotional body, our mental body, and our physical body in the best, the full physics of it. You know, you can't have one pillar off. It's very important to keep purifying and being on that.
All right, thank you so much, Charlie.
Hey, friends. It's been a wonderful Sacred Sunday show. I hope you were able to enjoy much of what Charlie shared. He is brilliant. And I need to shut this down because we've got the next thing happening here. Love you guys all so much. Thank you for being with us for this beautiful Sunday. I'm looking forward to saving the chat and reading what happened. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Take care, everybody.